Welcome back to the Lion's Den. Today we're going to talk about something that's very important, just to know, so that people can't pull wool over your eyes and make you think that this opportunity zone bill, which was signed by the president, is a fantastic thing. On the surface, something that creates jobs, that stimulates a growth in the community is a positive thing, right? That's what you think. But let me just put it this way. Everything that glitters is not gold. Now, when you look deeply into this, you don't even have to look deeply into this. Just look into the opportunity zone and you'll see that this whole program that's going to be created in 8,500 to 8,700 communities in America is not what it seems. Yeah, it's not what it seems. You see, you say, well, what are you talking about? Do you really know what you're talking about? Let's look at exactly what it's supposed to do. First thing, incentive for companies to move into these areas. Areas that are your smaller cities, areas, some of them are probably going to be rural areas also, to move in there. All right? That is the only difference between the urban enterprise zone. If you live in a big city, you're from a big city, you're familiar with that urban enterprise zone, you probably don't even realize it. Basically, you have these big companies that come in there and they get tax breaks, incentives, all right, to move into your city. All right, they get a 50% tax reduction for X amount of years. The city designates 30% of that of the industrial area to the ones that are in the urban enterprise zone, and it's supposed to create jobs, right? Well, this is similar to the opportunity zone. It's supposed to create jobs. And it does. It does. Both programs will create jobs. Let me make this clear. With this urban enterprise zone, which started in the 70s, it created jobs. With this opportunity act, all right, it will create jobs. Yes. The opportunity zones will create jobs. But when you look at the type of jobs and you match them up to people within the community, many of the people in those communities will not have the skills for those jobs. I'll give you an example. In New Jersey, Cory Booker was mayor. He was intricate in getting Prudential and all these other places in there, the state of New Jersey and Newark. Did it benefit the people of the city of Newark? I'm afraid not. For the most part, it benefited people who had the high skills, who were able to get these jobs. It benefited them, but in terms of benefiting the everyday person who needs a job, the guy out there who has been searching for a job for years, is looking for a workable, all right, wage. When I say workable, that means that, you know, in order to feed your family, when you have a family of three, you need more than the $8, $9 an hour, especially when you're living in an urban area. And this urban enterprise zone did not help the everyday person in the city of Newark and the surrounding area. This is the same thing. If you look in your city, you will see that it's the same thing. The urban enterprise zone did not work for them. And it was a thing to say, oh, we're going to help people. We're going to give them jobs. We're going to give them very good jobs with livable wages. People have families. And when you have a family, you have to feed them. And when you have to feed them, you have to make sure that you're making enough. And then politicians will say, well, they need a skill. Well, guess what? The companies could easily train X amount of people in that city or in that community and give them a job. Yes, companies can train them. So even if it's a tech company or a company that's highly skilled, you can give someone the basic jobs and start hiring people, or at least training people, so you can prepare them for a job in your company, which is in their community. Now, this is the same thing with the opportunity zone. The jobs are going to be there. Skills, you're going to need them. The excuse is, well, they should have the skills. No, it doesn't work that way. If you're going into a community that has already been assessed as a depressed community economically, and the federal government, whoever knows the educational level, the median educational level of many people in that community, don't you think they should put a business in there that'll represent the people? I mean, that just makes sense to me. I don't know about you, but it makes a whole lot of sense that if I'm concerned about you, and I'm going to make sure that I can serve you, it's like fitting the bill. All right? You're trying to fit exactly what's going on. You got all these pieces to a puzzle, and for some reason, you're just throwing pieces on it and they don't connect. And this is what is possible. This is what is going to happen probably with this opportunity zone. Or people receive jobs and they're not livable wages. People have a right to make children. Most people in these neighborhoods are productive. So don't fool yourself and think that many people in these neighborhoods, they're not productive, they're all doing crime, they're all hurting each other, they're all selling drugs, they're all doing all these things. That's not true. Many people are doing what they have to do so that they can make it to the next step. Some people are doing what they have to do so they can get out of a situation. And many people are doing what they have to do in a positive way so that they can see their children prosper in these communities. And this opportunity zone is an opportunity for one entity, one thing, and that's the businesses. Now, prove us wrong, because also we have something where in this whole opportunity zone, it's going to actually provide jobs through a crime bill, also with the connection with this, provide jobs for people who have been incarcerated, training people who have been incarcerated, all of these things to help people out. If I'm not mistaken, they had little programs that were helping people out who had these problems. But for some reason, these programs aren't working. Anywhere you go in the United States, you have things like DVR, you have things like your One Stop, you have things like where you have solar programs that were supposed to help people, construction programs through your vocational schools. Many states have these where it's free training and things like that. CNAs, free training, all this. Culinary arts and all these things that are put in the state where they have funding for the states to have these programs for people. But it seems like most of the people are not benefiting from it. People say, oh, well, you know, the opportunities are there. People just don't take advantage of the opportunities. The opportunities, for the most part, many of them are not there. They're not. Because there are a whole lot of people in these communities that would work and would work hard. So when we talk about the opportunity zone, be very careful in terms of all of this. The businesses are coming in your small city. They're coming in your town. They're coming in your rural area. But will your sister, your brother, your mother be able to receive a job making a livable wage? That's the question. There used to be a time where this was able to be done when you look at it, where a person could get a job and they can work and work hard and move on and have that dream. All right? But now it's a different day, it's a different time for many people. For us, it's been like that for a long time. You know, when you look at many of us, it's been like that for a long time. Minorities, blacks, it's been very difficult. But now you see a change also where people are beginning to realize that even people on the other side, no matter who you are, it's becoming even more difficult. So this bill is making people think that things are going to change. It didn't change with the urban enterprise zone. Did not change. So unless they come in there and they have a totally different plan to provide jobs to almost anyone that wants them, that needs it, that is willing to work, as well as provide them with a livable wage and train them, then that's the only way. But if you put a tech company inside of some of these communities, who is going to benefit? Tell me that. If you put a corporation inside one of these communities, who is going to benefit? We'll see. But chances are, common sense, tech, corporate, and economically depressed community, and the skill set of the people does not match those jobs, it's not going to work out, y'all. It's not. We need to think about this. Manufacturing, right? On the surface looks good, but nowadays, they're using machinery. Basically robots. I'm not at the point to say robots are taking your job. I'm not going to get to that point, but you look at it, we keep going into the future, eventually they're going to have more robots working in manufacturing jobs and more machines than they are people. And some of you who work in that field in terms of assembly lines and you work with machinery, you probably know much better than most of us do that you probably say, yeah, there are more machines now. I wouldn't doubt it, and I believe it. If you told me that, I would believe it. So even when they have these jobs that come in there, and it deals with manufacturing, it deals with things like that, you may have a situation where they don't have to hire as many people anymore. So Kevin, Tyrone, and whoever else goes to that job and they apply for it, out of 5 applicants who are promising, 1 may get it. So we're not looking at the odds. It's not looking as up and up because they hire less people. You know, they don't need to hire as many people. So the people benefiting in the community are going to be far less. The amount of dollars circulated in the community are going to be far less. So these are things that we need to really look at and think about. So this opportunity zone is similar to the urban enterprise zone. This Opportunity Act is probably not an act for many people in the community. You know, we look at the last part I want to talk about this to compare it with gentrification. A lot of people thought that when they started building in their communities that they were going to be able to come back to their communities, live in their communities, and, you know, everything was going to be okay. But most of the people who lived in the communities, were priced out. So when they tore down where you lived before, low income, thought they were going to be able to come back. Most of the people there can't afford to come back. That's number one. Number two, they have all of these major criteria where you can't have a record. You got to have a good credit. How are you going to be able to get back into that community? And you don't have any of those things that I just talked about. Record, bad credit. But you were told that, you know what? When everything is said and done, we rebuild, you'll be able to come back. And then they only have a certain amount of applicants who are able to apply. So this has been going on time and time again, where it seems like almost every time we're told one thing and another thing happens. So this opportunity zone can fall along the same lines. And even the act where, they're going to try to help people who have been incarcerated and try to help people along the same lines. When the plan is spelled out to the people and they know exactly what you're going to do, and then it's not going to be on the guidelines of the federal regulations, which have been before. Every single time they had the same regulations, the same federal regulations, then you know what? If it's not the same, it may work. But it looks like, it smells like, it seems like, it appears like it's the same thing. Don't believe the hype. All right? Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning into the Lion's Den. See you next time. Peace.